You're listening to Searching for More, a podcast of the Diocese of Arlington. On this episode, President and COO of Catholic Connect, Austin Quick, better known as the Basic Catholic to his 100,000 plus followers on social media, has grown a large following through selfie-style videos with bishops, cardinals, and leaders in the Catholic world. With no intentions of going viral, Austin simply started sharing his love for the faith and the Church, paired with a candid approach to evangelization through GIFs, memes, and Instagram. The overwhelming response he received from young Catholics across the world has led him to the conclusion that it is indeed the greatest time to be a Catholic, and these digital tools are connecting people of faith now more than ever.
Young people want truth,
yes.
They want beauty, they want logic, they want philosophy, they want all those things to come together.
This episode's host is Bridget O'Boyle, social media coordinator for the diocese.
I'm here with Austin, aka the Basic Catholic.
Yes, it's exciting to be here. Thank
Austin, thanks for being here. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and about your account, Basic Catholic?
Well, I don't know what else to tell you except for the fact that I am a blessed individual. I don't know how this all came about. It was my normal Instagram account, and about a couple years ago, my sister was making fun of me because of some of the things I had purchased, and she said I was very basic, and that kind of took off. And I decided to change my account a couple years ago to the Basic Catholic.
Okay.
Had a couple hundred followers, friends, and people I met along the way. And then last summer I was in Europe, and I had the great opportunity to spend a lot of time over there. And I just kind of highlighted things I was doing, and people started following, and it just kind of went from there. So it's really only been about 9 months of craziness.
Wow.
Yeah.
Was there a certain post? I always wonder this with influencers. Was there a certain post that you posted that allowed this to kind of spark and
yes, I was
take off, if you will?
Absolutely. I think the one that I can pinpoint to was Cardinal Burke. I got to know, I've known him for a little bit through a friend of mine. My best friend's a priest in Wisconsin at his diocese that he was at and from. And I got to go over to his apartment in Rome and spend the afternoon with him.
Okay.
And I highlighted the whole thing. I got a red Zucchetto for him and took it on this journey, and people like that. And Richie from Catholic Connect started highlighting the things I was doing, and that's where it all kind of started from there.
Wow.
So yeah, it is a crazy time to be Catholic, that's for sure.
That's amazing. And I love seeing Catholics like yourself using these tools to evangelize. Could you talk a little bit about how social media, while it does have some negatives, it is also a positive that can be used for good and to connect and also to evangelize people who've maybe never seen things about the faith that you share? Absolutely.
I think one of the things that we lose sight of is a lot of things with social media have been negative, right?
Right.
The thing that I've at least seen, and I think a lot of people are encountering, is the fact that it has built this online kind of external community away from our physical community that we have.
Right.
But it reminds us that we're not alone. I think that's the biggest thing,
yes.
especially as strong, faithful, Orthodox Catholics.
Yes.
Sometimes it can feel in this world that we're alone.
Yes.
And I think it's a really good reminder to see all these other people from all these different walks of life who are living the same life that I have, and they're normal people. They're people I can relate to.
Absolutely.
And you see like the big families. You see, you hear all these things like, oh, how can you have all these kids? And then you see this random family that has 9 kids going to Europe, living this life. They're cool and they're fun. And I think that's the biggest thing is kind of opening the doors to that we're not alone.
Right.
And I think the biggest thing also is to remember this. I say this a lot, but this is the greatest time to be alive as a Catholic, at least in my opinion.
Wow.
I just think, as I joked with you earlier, I feel like the Holy Spirit's gotten off the bench and saying, enough of you people, I'm going to take care of it now, because there's no other way to explain just the amount of connections and the connectivity with people.
Yes.
And I think one of the things specifically with Instagram, Facebook never, I don't think ever had the same appeal where you would meet people randomly through your Facebook page and then meet them. I would never meet somebody.
Exactly.
Now I'm literally here with 3 people that I met because of Instagram. I'm here with you
and I found you on
Instagram. I'm going to dinner with a woman tonight because of Instagram.
Wow.
I mean, we just came from lunch with a guy that I met through Instagram.
And our common ground is we're all, we all share the same faith. And so I think that is something too that's so beautiful. I found your page through another Catholic friend who said, hey, you need to follow this guy. He's posting these amazing things. And then next thing you know, we connected and here you are now. But I guess another thing that I wanted to ask is, how have you made connections with people like the NFL player
Harrison Butker?
Butker.
Yeah.
How did you make that connection? This NFL player who on his off time is a altar server at the high mass.
At the external
how did you make that connection?
So Harrison's wife somehow found me and started following me, and she told him about me.
Okay.
And then somehow we started messaging, we started DMing each other, and then after a couple days of DMing, we said, well, here's each other's numbers. We started texting, and then I was in Kansas City for something, and I said, hey, I'm going to be in Kansas City this day.
Wow.
I'd love to get coffee with you. He said, well, how about you just come over for dinner? It's been crazy to watch this. And
Wow.
now there's a friend that I met through another guy that I've never met from Ireland, a producer that just did a video for him for EWTN this past weekend. He flew down there.
Wow.
Like it's just
It's crazy.
It's crazy.
The Catholic world is getting smaller.
It's getting smaller, but it's one of those reminders like, how freaking amazing is this? But also I want to say this, Bridget, that I think is important is it's things like your diocese are doing. It's this amazing studio, this amazing facility that you guys see. This
Absolutely.
is the point. And I think the thing that sometimes people lose sight of is they say, social media is not real.
Yeah.
Those aren't real relationships.
Yeah.
A lot of people, even the people that are the most outgoing, at the end of the day, they go home to their lives, they have their stresses of family, whatever it is, and they feel alone sometimes.
Right.
And the devil keeps people in that place of feeling alone and this desperation and despair.
Yeah.
Social media, in a way, if it's done right, it doesn't say, oh, look at that person's amazing life. Is, wow, that guy's like me.
Yes.
That guy
and I want to
and
connect.
I want to connect with that guy. And I can become friends with that person. And that's something I try to take very seriously with my followers is I want to engage with you.
Yes.
Sometimes it can be a pain. I'm sure you've already started experiencing this.
Yes.
Some people can, just like anyone in your family,
Oh,
they can be very
yes.
needy.
Yes.
And I try to remind myself, don't ignore the message, even if it's
Right.
the 15th time they've sent something.
Right.
Respond, because at the end of the day, that's a beloved child of God who needs
Right.
that connection.
Right.
But I think for us right now, and I think what your diocese is doing is amazing, because we have to remember this. If Christ were walking the earth right now, he would use everything in his power, every tool available to reach people where they are, right?
And I'm not just saying that because it's my job, but I agree with you. I think one of the reasons why I took this job was because I am 28. I have so many friends, sadly, that are leaving the church, and they're leaving for, pop churches that go live for their service on Sundays on Facebook Live, and they're using these tools, and that shouldn't be the reason that you go to church, but we should leverage the same tools because we have the truth.
Absolutely.
So why not use the tools to proclaim the truth?
Absolutely.
And I think you're doing it. And another thing that I think you do really well is you have the faith, but you also are candid with it. And I think that is what connects people to you. Could you talk a little bit about that?
I'm going to be completely honest with you, Bridget. I am just a normal guy from Moline, Illinois. I am nothing special. I always joke that God has made me have this weight gain and the hair loss to keep me humble.
Oh my
because
gosh.
It's been very interesting to see. Like the other night, I was driving back I went up to Wisconsin to spend the Trinity with my best friend who's a priest in Wisconsin.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I was leaving, and I had two messages, and I showed it to my friends that are with me. I had two different people I've never heard of. I've never talked to them, and they
Wow.
both messaged me. And I might get emotional here, but just because it's humbling to me, because I'm just a normal guy. I'm nothing special.
Right.
And both these women had messaged me and said, we just became Catholic. One in particular, the message was, I started RCIA and I almost left because of the abuse crisis.
Wow.
And she goes, and again, she said, but your account has helped me see the beauty in the church and realizing that the church is worth giving everything up for.
Wow.
And that's the thing for me. It's like,
You're like, I'm doing something.
I'm just like going, guys. So that's my thing is,
Yeah.
if I can do this, if some random dude from Illinois can do this,
Right.
and if a diocese gets behind it and
Any
does
of
it,
us
any of
can.
us can do it.
Yes.
And it's being authentic, it's being joy-filled, it's being honest when we're having difficulties, it's being real with people and having
Right.
real relationships and just building those things. And I think that's the thing for me, that it's both a blessing, but it can be somewhat of a curse too, because spend any time with any of my friends or family, they will tell you I spend probably too much time on my phone.
Right,
But
there's a balance.
There's a balance
There's
that
a
I haven't
balance.
found yet in my life.
Yes.
But it is one of those things where we really are building this community of people. And again, it's not just people that they never meet. It's the fact that I've met today. I've met 5 different people,
That
yourself
you
included,
met
that I've met
from-
through Instagram.
Yes.
Didn't know. But I think this is the most important thing to remember. And I
crazy.
think this is the thing that's happening. It's not that, we're meeting people from Instagram. It's
Right.
because the fact that you and I are meeting right now, the reason why we already feel this connection is because we're brothers and sisters in Christ.
Exactly.
We're part of the same church, the same family.
Exactly.
That's why when I travel around, I go to a lot of different parishes. I hate when a priest says, who's a guest here? Nobody's a guest here. This is my parish.
Right.
I might be on the road, but this is my church.
Right, and you have that openness about you, which I think is so great. I wanted to ask, do you see this as a ministry? I didn't want to use that word because I think it's such a personal choice to make that kind of a calling, but I feel from talking to you that it seems like this has kind of become a ministry almost.
It's a ministry that pays nothing, but I'm kidding. But no, I'm not kidding. It doesn't pay anything. But no, it has become a ministry. Again,
Right.
I want to stress this is not something I set out one day and said with my friends or myself and said, let me
Right.
create this account. Let me create this catchy name.
Yeah.
Let me try to do this stuff. And I'm
Exactly.
going to do
You just did it,
I
and
just
it
was doing my
organically
life,
happened.
and then people started following. And
I think when you're yourself, though, people see it at least when I follow someone that I feel is their authentic self, that's the reason why they come through that way on their account, and that's you're just doing you, and people can tell.
Well, I appreciate that, and I have enough people in my life. I try to surround myself with people that keep me humble,
Right.
and everything. If you've heard me, I've talked about this. My number one encyclical I go back to always is Caritas in Veritate,
Okay.
Pope Benedict's last encyclical, which is Truth and Charity.
Wow.
It's the idea that every relationship I have, every single person I meet, is a beloved child of God, right? And is a brother and sister in Christ. And our goal in every relationship is to get the other to heaven.
Wow.
So we look at it from that perspective.
That's beautiful.
That's how every relationship we should live it out. So you and I were talking off camera. It's this idea that there's a lot of Catholic people in their own little sandboxes with their own
Exactly.
little gifts and their own things.
But
It's how do we bring that stuff
how do we
together?
come together?
Exactly.
I know.
Because together there's nothing we can't do. And I really
agree.
believe that. And I think to kind of go back to your
Totally.
question earlier and talking about social media in the church,
Right.
the thing we need to do, and I think specifically for young people, we need to give them truth.
Yes.
We need to give them beauty. We don't need to
Absolutely.
water things down. We don't need to we don't need to Protestantize, as I say, the faith anymore. That we've tried to do that, and
Right.
it doesn't work.
Right.
Young people want truth.
Yes.
They want beauty. They want logic. They want philosophy. They want all those things to come together. So
Exactly.
let's keep the Mass beautiful and holy and striving for Christ. This thing that's almost out of this. It is out of this world, right?
Right.
Untouchable.
Right.
But outside of the liturgy itself, let's find ways to use dynamic, different resources
Like this.
like this to bring each other together.
Right.
Because I think that's the one area where Catholics do feel sometimes alone.
Yes.
They don't have those connections. So that's the thing. If I may, just for a second, one of the things that I think is also important is we have to get to the point where we understand that masculinity in the church is necessary. We have the church is filled to the brims
Wow.
with very holy women who do
Yes.
amazing things for the church.
Yes.
But we need our husbands
We
and our
need
fathers
men.
to get
Yep.
off their tushes
Absolutely.
and to get in there and
Amen.
roll up their sleeves and get
Yes.
involved. And that means beyond the fish fry.
Right.
We love a good fish fry. But we need you to be a reader at
Yeah,
Mass. We
yeah.
need you to serve sometimes.
Examples.
Imagine if a
Yeah.
little boy sees his father serving at Mass.
Yeah.
So look, you brought up Harrison.
Yes.
Here's an
I was
NFL
just gonna
star.
say.
He literally, I texted him on the Super Bowl because the Chiefs almost went to the Super Bowl, and I said, how was the game tonight? Watching the football game. He goes,
Right.
I didn't go. I was serving at Mass. I'm like, that's what
Wow.
a Catholic man should be doing. That should be his
Wow.
answer. And so that's the
Wow.
thing is we need men to be men. We need men to realize what it is to be an authentic man in today's day and age
I
is
love that.
to be in touch with who you are,
Yep.
to be able to tell your friends and your family you love them,
Yep.
to be able to tell the stranger on the street, I'm here to help you,
Yeah.
and to really come to terms with what that is. Because
Embrace who you
women
are.
need husbands
Yep.
that are the men of the family,
Yes.
and children need fathers that are the father of the family. We need
Right.
fathers to be the example and lead people to Christ, and that's the thing we need. And so if I can, and that's what I try to do the most through my Instagram account, is to showcase normal men, empowering them and showing them like you're not the only guy.
Right.
And it's okay that you get down on the floor and play with your children, and then
Exactly.
go out and cut down some a tree or go out
Yeah.
and grill on the.
But
on the
doing
grill.
it all and
Doing it
having
all.
a faith to back it, I
And that's
think.
filled with joy. And if I may
Right.
also, just for a second, to
Yeah.
bring up about you a little bit,
Yes.
one of the things I find interesting is not only I'm a convert to the faith,
I
and
was
I'm
gonna
a
ask you about
convert
that.
I converted in the military.
I was going to ask you about
And-
that.
Okay, so go ahead. I'll wait.
Well,
You go
I
ahead.
was
You're the
just going to
interviewer.
say, I had no idea. Like, I mean, the list goes on and on what I think is so cool and great about you. But then I was looking on your Friday introductions on Instagram, and I saw that you have a background in the military. And my husband is Navy right now. And
Go Navy, beat Army.
Right, always. And so we've traveled many times because of his job, and that's a difficult path, as you know.
Absolutely.
Even as a single person, military life is hard, and they don't have a lot of ministries, and they don't have a lot of people that support them. And I think that that's super important. So did you notice that when you were in the service?
I didn't notice it a lot. I notice a lot now, and again,
Okay.
I think it's this I'm the very cusp of the millennial. I'm of the oldest of the millennials, really, but that's where I noticed the younger generation millennials, because of social media, the groups are becoming smaller and smaller.
Right.
It hit me actually with you had posted something about another family that you were friends with. That you were just with, I think, this past weekend.
Yes,
And
our close
I highlighted
friends.
them like a long time ago.
Yes.
And so like to see these like young military families, for me that's humbling. For me
Yeah.
that's like phenomenal to see these dads being
So we've
dads.
kind of tried to create a group for ourselves of young couples, military couples. We all have faith, we're all Catholic, but we're trying to support each other in the lifestyle, because it is something that it can be hard for couples. It can be hard for the service member. But the thing that unites us is that, you know, we all go to Mass together. We all go to St. Mary's in Alexandria, and we all, you know, have fellowship with our kids, and we plan things, and we try to have the intentional community. And I think it connects to social media in the way that you can find intentional community on there as well. What you look for on there, what your feed shows is what you're looking at. And so I think it's good to just see examples like yourself who are bringing people together. Like you've just brought all of us together. I've met your friends, you've met people at the Chancery.
Absolutely.
So I think you are a great example of what's going right on social media.
And I appreciate that, Bridget, but if I say something is this: if I can do that with my limited abilities and skills, imagine if other people do this.
If we all did
again.
Yeah. So what is your advice to someone who, they might not have 80,000 followers, maybe they only have 100, but they really want to share their faith and the truth that they know on social media, but maybe they're worried that, you know, if I share this about my life, I'm not going to get likes or something like that. What would you say to that person?
It's a real thing, and I think one of the things, especially speaking as a man, it's very difficult always to keep in check your pride and your ego. And for me, I noticed that many times, especially in the beginning when I started gaining followers and I started getting likes and I started gaining all this stuff.
Right.
It's very intoxicating.
Yes.
It can be, the devil's going to use anything.
People say it's almost addictive, I
Absolutely.
think. And I've noticed that in my own life. I'm like, wow, I need to get away from this when I start feeling this feeling of what can I do to get a like. It shouldn't be about that. It should be about how can I share my family.
Absolutely.
Or what can I do to inspire people.
Absolutely. And that's the thing for me, and I talked to you about this earlier, was I stopped doing posts because I noticed posts were the thing I was always like, what time of day, because Instagram will tell you, like the algorithm, what time of day you get the most likes and the most time, like day, what time. And I would catch myself doing that. And I said, if I'm doing it for likes, then that's not the point.
Right.
And it's funny, like, so like I'll get weeks where, especially during Lent, this Lent, I noticed a huge drop in numbers.
I did too.
Because people had this thank you Exodus 90. But
I've heard about that.
But it's one of those things where a lot of people gave up social media, which is great.
Right.
And then there was a week or two where it was low, but it was like not the lowest it ever been, but it was definitely like noticeable.
Yes.
And then the next week it went up to my highest. I was at 11% of interactions between all my followers, which is huge.
Pretty
number.
big, yeah.
And so the thing for me is remembering, just like sports, I love the Cubs.
Right.
I'm a Cubs fan all day long.
Okay.
But the Cubs have lost forever.
Okay.
And then we won the World Series, right?
Right.
But then we lost it again.
Right.
It's this reminder that it's
going to
ebb and flow. So just keep your eye on the prize. The prize is heaven.
And stay true to yourself.
Exactly.
Don't do it for a like or a follow. Do it because it's true to your message and it's true to your ministry if there's a ministry involved in it.
It's that idea again. So even you call it a ministry, but I almost think it's better to look at it as what the deacon or the priest tells at the end of Mass.
Right.
Go out and spread the gospel.
Right.
So if I'm going to spread the gospel, that's my life everywhere. So whether
Yes.
it's the person on the street, the person at the checkout line, or the person in my social media world, it's just promoting that idea of who I'm supposed to be as a Christian.
Right.
As a Catholic, I'm called to spread that good news.
Awesome.
And that means in everything. I think my advice to anybody that wants to become an Instagram influencer, whatever the term is today, is to just be your authentic self. People, like you said 100 times, like people will notice that and they'll follow you. My thing is, here's the thing, bottom line. I have a bunch of followers.
Right.
2 people out of those bunch of followers messaged me and told me how much my account affected their faith.
Right.
2 people I've never met.
Right.
So the ratio is very small, 2 out of a lot.
Right.
But that's 2 people that said that they're now in the faith and that I don't know, and that I was able to have even like the smallest effect on.
Impact, yeah. It's
Again,
important. I think it's important, and I think that there's value in these tools, and it doesn't mean that we can turn a blind eye to the negative things that are out there on the tools, but I think if we run and hide from the tools, then there's only going to be negativity out there. So I think what you're doing is awesome. Even coming here and being in our studio is great.
This amazing studio.
Your
bishop should be commended for this. Yes.
We just built the studio. Bishop Burbage is super supportive of social media and the new evangelization tools, so he's big on Twitter. I think he has 14,000 followers. I probably will get that wrong. It's probably more now. But he is big on this. And I think it's because he sees the value in reaching young people and honestly all people with these mediums. So,
and I think if I can say one last thing that I really want to touch base on is this idea that as Catholics we have to get beyond lukewarmness.
Yes.
Bishop Barron talks about the church of nice.
Yes.
We have to get beyond these superficial relationships that are just like you do you, I'll do me. And it goes
Right.
back to that caritas and veritate.
Yeah.
If I love you as a brother or as a sister in Christ, my job is to get you to heaven. If
Right.
that truly is what I'm doing, that means that we have to walk together and we have to hold each other accountable too.
Yes.
And that means that we have to be willing to have very difficult conversations with people, sometimes people we don't know very well, but because at the end of the day, I want to see you in heaven.
Wow.
You build those type of relationships, and it might be difficult in the beginning, and not everyone might receive it the same way.
Right.
But if someone feels, especially in this day and age where people feel so alone,
Yeah.
in the most connected generation ever,
Right. Right.
if someone feels like, wow, this guy loves me enough that he's willing to call me out for this, there's nothing we can't do.
Wow.
And so that's where I think that we're just seeing this reversion. The fact that we could talk all day long about the bad news in the church, but let's talk about the
Right.
great news that 17,000 people in this country alone joined the Catholic Church last Saturday.
Which is beautiful. Yep. We had a ton in our diocese, over 200, I want to say. We have 3 guys getting ordained in June. We have 44 seminarians right now and counting, I think. So a lot of great things are happening here.
It's a great time to be alive, to be a Catholic.
It is. Well, can you tell us anything else about where to follow you and what's going on for you next?
Well, follow me at The Basic Catholic on Instagram. This logo is going to be changing soon, but it was one of my followers who I've never met designed
Made
it for
it
me.
for
Yep,
you?
yeah.
What is the little Starbucks plug? You have really quickly. Just share. Do you meet people at Starbucks? Is that what
that's kind of, but I travel a lot and I would go to Starbucks and I like the fact that when I go somewhere I know what I'm getting.
Right.
So I have like $400 on my Starbucks card. I have like 20 free drinks. People think, I actually don't like coffee. If you notice, it's tea.
So your followers
tea.
Yeah, I saw that.
So people send me coffee. So it's a whole, I get a whole thing.
Funny.
So it's like the Starbucks kind of, it goes back to that basic thing.
Right, being basic.
So I've done young adult ministry where I've met people at coffee shops. I think coffee shops have become
They bring
kind of the
people
current
together.
thing where you can go to and talk to people and bring people together.
Absolutely.
So it's kind of this kind of catch of the coffee
Catchy.
shop, bring people together. It's kind of a fun little take on being basic.
I love it.
So
I think it's the coolest logo, but you're changing it.
We're changing it because the Apple logo, and I'm just trying to make it. I don't know. We're trying to figure things out, but
more to come.
But so at the Basic Catholic,
awesome.
And just I can't say enough of how amazing this place is and how amazing it is to meet you. Thank you for having me here.
Well, thank you so much. You're one of our first visitors in the studio, actually.
Wow.
So we were excited to have you here.
#blessed.
#blessed,
yes.
guys. You can follow us too at Arlington Church. We post about upcoming events in the diocese, young adult ministry, multicultural ministries, all the ministries that are in our diocesan building we post about. So follow us. We also, we just are trying to inspire and connect, like you've been doing so well, the people in our diocese, and to know that we're online and we're a community for you guys. So thank you, Austin, for being here.
Thank you.
And let's go do our tour.
Amen.
Thank you for listening to Searching for More. If you enjoyed this podcast, please write a review on iTunes, Google Play, or Stitcher. Also, make sure you follow the Diocese and the Arlington Catholic Herald on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And subscribe to our YouTube channels for regular videos that will inspire, educate, and inform you about the Catholic faith and our diocesan community.